Alright, so in this video what we're going to do is do a little bit of cleanup. Because right now we have our game set up that we can play it, but it goes right into it. It doesn't feel like a complete game because basically, um, I have this thing going on here, and this is all fine now. All fine and dandy, but the problem I'm having is basically, yay, it'll go level to level, but there's no start screen. So it would be nice to have a start screen, and then a thing, and then maybe like a pause menu as well. So just a little bit of a user interface for us to work with. So to do that, first thing we're gonna do is make a new screen. So we'll just do File, New Scene. I'm just gonna go ahead and save this. So File, Save As, save into the Scenes folder, and we're just gonna call this Start Screen. Boom. Okay, so what we're going to do is add our UI elements. I'm going to switch to game, because if I'm in scene, you can't see it. So we're just going to go to game object and UI, and let's just start with text, because if I click on text, it'll automatically make my canvas for me. So here I have my text, and I'm just going to call this like title. That's going to be the name of my text. And then I can't see it here because it's gigantic, so switch to game, and there I can see it there. Okay. And then I'm just going to call my game title, or actually we'll call it Super Cone Jump. Okay, that seems like a really good name for a game, I think. Okay, so Super Cone Jump. I'm going to go ahead, click on this. I'm going to hold Alt and Shift, which is going to allow, it's going to both, basically what this does is that it will anchor it. So Shift will set the pivot, and if I hold Alt, it will set the position. So I want to pivot from the top. Boop, like that, and it's going to pivot from there. So basically, no matter what, it tries to stick to the pivot here. And then what I'm going to do is just take this position, leave that one alone, and let's do like minus 250. That's too much. Let's do minus 100. Sure, okay. So that looks fine. I would like to change a couple of other things here. So I'm going to go, so I got title, and I called it there. Okay. Let's go ahead and change the background color. If you select the camera, you can change the color here. So I'm just going to click on this, and I'm just going to do like, I don't know, do a bright screen. Okay, so we'll just do that for now. We can fix that afterwards, but for now, that works for me. Okay, I would like to have a different font. So typically we would like two fonts. I'd like one main title font, and then a font of for like bodies, text, and stuff. So I'm going to suggest going to dafont.com, okay? Because basically it has a bunch of fonts that you can download. Now, you're going to need to check to see what the rights are, but we're not selling this. Obviously, if you use fonts, you didn't make the font, then you have to have rights in order to redistribute the font or use them in your games and so on and so have you. So I'm going to go ahead and let's do cartoony, groovy, old school, Wested, eroded, destroy. Let's do cartoon. And I'm just going to look for a fun title one. I'll just do this one here, the Sketch 3D. So I'm going to click on download. It's going to download it. Okay, so I download that. And then I'm going to need one for basically just my normal kind of text. And for that, I'm going to use sans serif. I think sans serif usually looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to look for one that is okay. Let's go with this one, this Cocoa Goose. Download that one. Okay. So you need to just find some fonts. You can grab whatever fonts you want, but I'm just going to do it this way. I think it's the easiest. So I'm going to go on this, hit the little folder. I've got it here. I'm going to just go ahead and extract it. Let's close that out and extract. All right. So here we have it. So there's the OTF. I'm going to go to Unity, and in the assets folder, I make a new folder, create folder, and I'm just going to call this fonts. Just like anything else, I have to bring these in, so I'm going to pull this down here, and I'm just going to let's open that up over here, and I'm going to take this OTF and drop it in there, and then you can see there's my one font. All right, let's close that out, and that was, I don't know which one I grabbed. Was that the Kogu, the sketch one? And I'm going to go ahead and uncompress this one. If you're on a Mac, you can just double click on it, which is nice. Close that out. Boom. Wow, that gives me a whole bunch of them. Okay, so again, go here. I'm going to have to they have some stuff here about commercial licenses things, and you might want to look that out. Look at that. But let's see, Pro Trial, Ultra Light, Thin, Semi Light, blah blah blah, Italic, Family. Usually one of them is like Italic Trial, Semi Light, Thin Light, Ultra Light. Let's go with Pro. I don't know which one's which, but this one, usually there's like one or two. This one's got a whole bunch. Okay, so we're going to go with that. So, boom. So now I've got these two fonts in there, and what I can do is that right now you see it uses Arial. By default, that's the only one you have available. So even if you have fonts on your computer, what you have to do is find those fonts, and then you have to bring them into your scene. It won't grab them by default. So like if I hit this little thing, you'll see the only ones it's going to show are Arial, and then the ones I just brought in. Okay, it won't show your whole library that you have on your computer. Okay, and so for that one, it's going to be Sketch 3D, and then there you can see it looks pretty adequate, but obviously it needs to be a bit larger, so I'm going to center it here, and then I'm going to change. Do I have any options here? Oh, I do. This bold. Ooh, bold's not good. So normal. Let's make this bigger. Let's try 48. Now 48, if you look at the size of my height, this is basically the box that it has to fit in. It's definitely bigger than this. Let's do 50. There you go. So now it's enough for height, but you can see that some of the words are getting cut off. It's because it's not enough for the width. So let's try 300. Still not enough. Let's try 500. There we go. So now we've got Super Cone Jump. Looks pretty great. That's fine, 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 fine. Now, if you want to change the color, I'm just going to go ahead and make mine white and exit out, but you can change the color there. And another neat little trick is that if you look, the white on the black doesn't look that great, so I'm going to go to Add Component, and I'm going to type in Shadow. There's like this shadow thing that's there, and that will actually add a shadow, and you can choose the distance here. So let's try 2 by 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. There we go. So I don't really like that, but I just wanted to show you what that looked like. I kind of liked it. I thought black actually looked a little bit better. Let's go ahead and go back to black. And go like that, and then let's leave. I'm either going to move this, or we'll just, oops, -1. Okay. Okay, so we'll call that good. There's Super Cone Jump. And now what I need to do is, what I would like is basically, I'm only going to put 2 elements for now, but in the future, if you want to add more stuff, you could add more. I'm just going to add a Start button and a Quit button. Okay, so I'm on this canvas. I'm going to go ahead and change this canvas name. It's like that thing's named. I'm just going to call it Start Screen Canvas. Okay. And that's the title. That's great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Game Object, UI, and we're going to add a button. Button. All right, so there's my button, and I will name this one Start Button. Good. And we'll call this Start Button Text. These names don't actually matter. It's just for the purposes of keeping things clean. You can see it's right there. And I'm just going to go ahead and type in Start Game, maybe. That seems like an adequate name. Okay, so there we go. Start Game, buttons on the bottom left. We'll change position in a second. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this Cocoa Goose on there. So I'm just going to click and drag and drop it in here. Now it's Cocoa Goose. Yay. All right. Size right now is 14. Let's try doing, let's see what 24 looks like. And again, that's not large enough for the size of the thing we have here. So where are you? Might need to change the button above it. That's probably the issue. Yeah. So let's try doing 50. And let's do width. Let's do 180. Gives a little more breathing room. Okay. So I had to go to the button above, not the text. Okay. And the rest of it I'm okay with. Now you can play around with this if you want, but I think this is fine to start with. So that's Start Game, the Start button, and the Start Button text. Let's go ahead. I'm going to click on the button again, and I'm going to switch the position of it. So right now it's pivoting from middle center, which is fine. So, but I'm going to hold Alt and Shift again, and that's going to snap it to the front here. And I think that looks fine. Good. Now, what you might want to do, and I highly suggest, because depending on the type of game that you're making, it's a good idea to, not use this generic button, because that's not really, it's not very custom. It doesn't look particularly great. It just looks like, oh, they did a generic screen. It looks a lot better if you actually use your own button. So what you want to do is go into whatever program you want, and you need to basically make an image like this. Notice that this image is cross-cut into basically 9 sections. The idea here is this. If I take this button and if I stretch it or go height, the corner is always rounded. It's always taking this corner, and that's always going to be that size. It doesn't take the whole thing and scale it up much larger. So to give you an idea, let me do a 2D object. Let me do a sprite. Let me zero this all out. And then, that was weird. And then, let me go, and I'm just going to go ahead and scale this. Oh, because it doesn't have anything on it. So I'm going to go ahead and add that button onto it so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So let's see. We'll just use this one. Okay. All right. So you'll notice that when I stretch it, see how it's stretching this? It's because when I'm using it here, this UI sprite is not sliced in the same way as this is. Because if I were to take this thing instead, let's see, and we'll just do height, you see it keeps this to scale and it just stretches the long part. So basically, this section here will get stretched, this section here will get stretched, this will get stretched, and this will get stretched. But this, and this will always maintain their scale. Okay? So that's the idea behind it. Let's get rid of this. All right. So, but it would be nice to make our own button, but we need to make sure that it's basically 3 even parts. So, what we want to do is, I'm just going to show you in Photoshop. I already made one, but do File, New, and you can choose whatever scale you want. Do something small. There's no sense in making it huge. But maybe do something like 32 by 32. Hit OK. All right, and then I'm just going to Control plus or Command plus, depend. I'm going to unlock this, and then I am just going to select the whole thing and delete it so that it's a clear background because it was white by default. All right, and then what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go to View, New Guide Layout. I'm going to do 3 by 3. And what that allows me to do is basically make my button so that this will be a corner piece, this will be my straight piece, this will be another corner piece, straight piece, corner piece, straight piece, okay? And then you just draw it or make it however you want using your various things. I'm not going to go through all that because that's a whole nother thing in and of itself. But so you can see mine, I'm just going to close out of this one. Don't save. That's what I did. So I decided I would have like one curved part and then have it straight, and then I just kind of added this like shaded area. Okay, so this is kind of, you can kind of see. So basically the top left corner is going to be curved, the rest are straight, and I just added this shading. And I made it black and white. That way I can add color to it. You'll see in a second. So I just saved this as a PNG. Make sure that you have a PNG so that it has the transparency. So you just do File, Save As, and just make sure that it's a PNG, and then I think I already named it Button, Save. I'm just going to say we're top so you can see. Okay, good. Then once you're done with that, you go back to Unity and you would drop it into your sprites. Okay, so let's go sprites, and I am just going to import a new asset, desktop, and I am looking. You know, you can just start typing it in. It will actually. There you go. Button. Import it. Boom. There's my button. Yay. Okay. Now, this is not going to entirely work the way you're hoping for. So watch this. Let's go to my start button. And instead of using that UI sprite that's in there, I want to use this. So I'm going to click and drag this up here. If you look, it doesn't look particularly great. The reason why is, notice how mine doesn't have those slices in there? We actually have to kind of do something to fix that. So everything is getting scaled. It's getting scaled in general. I want it to scale a specific way. So back on this thing here, you can leave it as single, 100. That doesn't actually matter because it's going to scale anyway. That's all fine. You might want to, I'm going to switch, not this one. Where's the, here we go. I'm going to switch to high quality because whatever reason, the bad quality always looks bad. Then go to Sprite Editor. And normally what we've been doing is we've been grabbing the blue, right? So I can make like a, let's not do it. But when we normally do this thing, we slice it and we grab this blue. But what we want to do here is actually take this green one, because this is going to set how it scales, and I want it to be basically even, okay? Now, when I made this, I made mine 64 by 64. I know the example I just showed you was 32 by 32 pixels, but I actually made this 64 by 64, which means if I divide that by 3, it's going to be somewhere around like 21. So basically, I'm going to pull this one down, and you can see the number changing here? It's this T. And then if I grab this one, you see the number down here? It's B. And then guess what L and R are? That's right, it's these. So basically, I want all of mine to be 21 by 21 by 21 by 21, okay? So that basically it's even. So whatever yours is, it should be divided by 3, and then you cut it in that way, all right? But I take the green ones, not the blue, because this is going to determine how basically it gets scaled, all right? Then hit apply, close out of that. Go to the start button, and actually, sorry, click back on this. Let's see. Let's readjust that. There we go. You have to re-drag it up for whatever reason. But notice that now it's scaling it more correctly. It doesn't look like it's not stretching this out in this weird way. And if I were to take, like, let's say the height, notice that that one corner always looks like that, no matter what. And if I do the width, that one corner always looks like that. It's only stretching the inner pieces, not the corners. And that's important because otherwise it'll look all terrible. Now, the other thing that I did with this is that I made mine black and white. So now I can take the color, just like we did before, and I can make it anything I want. Because all it's going to do is just add that alpha on top of my thing here. So I'll just go with that because I don't really care. So there you go. Start screen, or start button. That looks pretty adequate, I would say. Let me see. Is there anything else I want to do? Good enough for me. Now we can also change what you want here. So there's normal color, highlighted color. You see it says white, so I can make this, like, let's say highlighted is yellow. So watch if I play this and I'll give it a second. Come on. It's adding a slight yellowness to it. You can't really tell too much, actually. Yeah, okay, come on. Let's go back to this, and let's see. It's 100%. Let's try doing white. Because when I was doing white before, it was like really obvious. I guess maybe because it's orange, it's yellow is not doing that much to it. Let me see. Come on. Pressing. Well, you see press color makes it a little bit darker. The hovering, I guess, just does. Let's try a different. I don't know. Do something more. Oops, that's the normal color. Highlighted color. Watch. So now when I basically highlight color, we'll just overlay that color with it. So play. There we go. See how it. Okay. So you can do that. There's press color, which you'll see when I press on it, it gets darker, and when you hover over it, sometimes it'll turn red. Okay. So that's what these are. You can play around with them if you want, and, see what have you, but that should be fine. Okay, good. So I got a start button. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to duplicate this to make the quit button. So I'm just going to Control D or Command D, and let's call this one not start button. We're just going to call this quit button because I want to be able to quit you. Quit button, beautiful. And we're going to call this quit button text, and I'm just going to call this quit game for the actual quit game. Beautiful. Now on the button itself, I'm just going to go ahead and move this down more. So position, let's do, I don't know, -100. I'll probably get it. I don't really care that much. Okay, so we got a start button, or a start game. We got a quit game button. That looks pretty good. Now, they don't actually do anything yet. Let's go ahead and save this real quick. Yeah, I'm already at 20 minutes. Okay, almost. All right, so now I actually want them to do something. So what I want, more or less, is that when them to run a function when clicked on, okay? Now, before we can do that, I have to have a function that's going to run when you go clicking on it. So to do that, I'm just going to use my game. I'm going to go to scripts, And let's close this up. I'm going to go to scripts, and I'm going to open game controller script. And that, for whatever reason, popped over here. Okay. And I just need to add a couple of functions that will allow me to more or less get out of here. They let you start the game and so on and so forth. Okay. So let's see. Oh, we put on victory. Well, yeah, we'll just go ahead and do that. All right, so currently I call this one victory. It should just be load next level, but I'm just leave it as victory. So this, if you look, what I'm going to do is basically have it when I click on this. If you remember that we have these levels in order, and right now I have that one function on my game controller script that says victory, and it will automatically load the next level. So I'm just going to use that for this, that when I click on this, I'm going to put this level that I'm currently making, I'm going to make that one the first level, and I'll just use victory to go to the next level. So I'm going to attach that to this, but I still need one for quit game. So let's go ahead and add that. So I'm just going to go down here, and actually we'll do it right after this one since it's kind of a similar thing. So we're going to do public. It has to be public in order for the button to be able to access it. So void, and we'll just call it quit game. All right, so it's going to be a new method that we're making, and it's pretty easy. It's application.quit, and that's it. Voila. All right, so that will quit, and the other one will start, and that'll be good. So let's go ahead and save that. Let's go back here, and I'm going to go ahead and, while I'm in here, actually, I don't know if I saved this yet. We'll close this out and save it. Control S. And then let's go to File, Build Settings again, and let's add Open Scene. And I'm going to click and drag this to the, drag this to the top. There we go. So start screen is 0, and then 1, 2. So level 1, then level 2. All right. So this will be the first thing that happens. All right. Now you can exit out of that. All right. So we actually need to attach these scripts. It's pretty easy. Go to the Start button. Scroll down here. You're going to hit a little plus, so it says on click. So when you click on it, what do you want it to do? And you have to put an object here that holds the script that you want to do the things you want to do. So in this case, I have this game controller script, but it's not attached to anything. What I'm going to do is, if you remember, I have that prefab for my game controller. I'm just going to go ahead and drag that up here because that already has the game controller script attached to it. And then I can just use, this is basically going to go on every level. So go back to start screen. So I have game controller. So I'm just going to take that and I'm going to drag that into here. So now on click, it's going to look in the game controller object, and then any scripts and their methods, functions that are built into there will be available. So there you can see game controller script, and then as long as it has public in it, remember I had to make it public. This is for what, start button. It's going to be victory. Usually I write load next level. It was a mistake. But anyway, so victory, because that loads the next level. Boom. Okay, so now when you click start, it's going to run on the game controller object, the game controller script, the victory method. Okay? Boom. All right, now let's do quit. Same thing. Select the quit button. On click, hit the little plus. We need to click and drag this object here, game controller. And then you're going to go ahead and go to game controller script. And this time it's quit game, the other function that we made. Boom. All right. And let's save it and let's test it. And it gave me an error. Not set to an instance of an object. CS15. No, not participant. Oh, because there's no timer text in this. Okay, so let's go to the prefabs, and then we have the canvas for our. So instead of dealing with all the stuff, basically it's looking for the UI elements because the game controller has all those built into it. I'm going to go ahead and drag the canvas in here. Now you're going to see it has all this stuff in here that I don't want. So what I'm going to do is in the canvas underneath, take this and we're going to turn that text off. I'm going to turn this text off. Actually, it probably still is not going to work because it's looking for the text specifically. Let's see. Is it working? Oh, it is working. Okay. Yay. Okay. So just after you do that, the canvas can stay in there, but you're going to have to turn off the text of both of these, so that way they don't show up. But I need to have it there because this is looking for this life text object. So that's why that's there. Okay. All right. And okay, so yeah, let's save that again. And if I play, you can notice now that when I have come on, start game, I have quick game. If I click start game, works great. But when I click quick game, very slowly, nothing happens. The reason why is I can't quit a game that's not a game. So to test it, just to show you, and you can test it if you want to, let's just do build settings. Let's see, it's on Windows. Good. Okay, so I'm just going to do build and run. Test game Unity, and I'm just going to make a new folder in here. You can't put it inside of your project folder. You used to be able to do that, but they don't let you do that anymore. Builds. So I'm just going to put it in there, and I'm just going to call this, I don't know, test build. Select folder. Or, sorry. Oh, I guess it's just builds. There you go. Select folder. And it's going to do that. I'm going to pause this so you don't have to watch it do its thing. And then when it's done, I'll show you how it works. We already know start games works, but I just want to show you quick game. I click on quick game. Boop. It pops and it just closes out. All right. Yeah, I don't care. So that quick game will work, but you actually have to have it running because you can't close an application if there's no application. There wasn't any application. So just so you can see that that actually does work. All right. So I am going to end this video because it's getting kind of long. But now you see we have a start screen. And then I'm making another video to do a pause screen so that we can, one other thing too that you might want to do, just on this canvas here, you could add like, go to, let me see, game object, UI. You can add an image, right? And then on my image, I could just add like, I don't know, my dude. And then, it's not scaled right. Oops, wrong one. Yeah, go like that. And then just, you know, but you can add pictures and stuff too, and I would highly suggest that so that, you know, it looks a little bit nicer. Save that. Okay. But you can add that, so I would add images or whatever you want. You can make one big image or however you want to do it. Yeah, but we're going to pause, or I'm going to stop this one, and then make another video to make a pause screen so that you can get back to the start screen or continue the game in case you're, you know, because obviously once we get in the game, I have no way of quitting it, so we're going to make it so that we can quit it.